Welcome to another episode of the Village Boy podcast. And I think it's about time that we shift gears a little bit and have honest conversations. I think for the most part we've kind of like we've been touching the peripherals of the kind of in, information we want to have on the Village Boy platform. In the past couple of days, we have seen one of the oldest, if not the oldest university in America, Harvard University, and the wealthiest university go tete a tete with the president of the country, Donald Trump. Everybody is well aware of Harvard so called standing its grounds. Going to Harvard, getting a degree in Harvard, just by you going to Harvard is already an accomplishment in itself. 'Cause it's a prestigious university. Everybody wants to get a piece of those kind of universities. But the conversation today does not really focus on what Harvard stood for, the Democrats celebrating that a liberal university has stood its ground, Trump trying to take over of Harvard. That's not the conversation. Let's look at this more critically. And I need people who are willing to listen and look at it from a critical point of view of where America is today. Because America is at the crossroads with all the tariffs and where China is. With this fight between Harvard and President Trump, Harvard released this statement, posted it on its X handle. I was able to find this out and I thought it was very interesting. So I pulled it up. And this is what it reads. This was probably from yesterday. No government, regardless of which party is in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue. This was the post that was made by President Alan Garber. So that's what Harvard posted. So basically, what Harvard is saying, nobody is going to tell us, especially the government, is going to tell us what we can teach, who we can hire, and what research and areas of study we can pursue. We get to do that by ourselves. We can do whatever we want to do. And if you think of it at face value, you want to agree that the government should not tell, you don't want to open that Pandora box of having the government, especially the American government that has not shown good faith in investing in its people, telling an institution like Harvard what to do, what programs you need to teach. Because once you allow that, you don't know what next is going to come. A radical right leaning government might come in and try to change the history of America. Maybe they might say slavery never happened. You have to teach this. You don't know because you opened that Pandora box of trying to tell a university what to teach, what not to teach. But here, Harvard single handedly isolated the government. They didn't say nobody, they just said no government. But I have a problem with this. I think on one side, I'm comfortable with Harvard standing its ground with this regime or with this government. But on the other hand, when I look at China and the prosperity of China, I have a problem because the Chinese have a model that invests in their people. The government says this is what we want. We want a prosperous society. We want a very industrious society. We want our kids to focus in this domain. And the schools, the universities, they go out there and execute, and we see the China that we have today. It was led by a government that was willing to invest in its people. Now, if they had a Harvard in China, would the Harvard be telling the Chinese government that you are not going to tell us what we can teach, who we can admit, who we can hire, what areas of studies we can pursue, and what research we can do to push back on the Chinese government's encroachment. Would that be something that a Chinese Harvard would do? Because an American Harvard is doing it. But it doesn't end there. I saw a video of Tim Cook. Tim Cook is the CEO of Apple. Apple is an American company. Tim Cook is an American. I would like for you guys to listen to an American talk about the Chinese educational system, the Chinese skill sets, the Chinese labor force, and why American companies are rushing to go to China. Without further ado, let's listen to Tim Cook give a realistic account of his perception of China, the workforce, and skill sets. Keep in mind, please do not forget, Tim Cook is an American and CEO of an American prestigious company.
There's a confusion about China, and let me at least give you my opinion. The popular conception is that companies come to China because of low labor cost. I'm not sure what part of China they go to, but the truth is China stopped being the low labor cost country many years ago. The reason is because of the skill, the quantity of skill in one location, and the type of skill it is. Like the products we do require really advanced tooling, and the precision that you have to have in tooling and working with the materials that we do are state of the art. And the tooling skill is very deep here. You know, in the US you could have a meeting of tooling engineers and I'm not sure we could fill the room. In China you could fill multiple football fields. It's that vocational expertise is very deep, very, very deep here.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the CEO of an American company praising, acknowledging the superiority in the Chinese workforce. This is disturbing for me at so many levels. So many levels, it's so disturbing because he is an American. He has no American pride. He is stating facts. Yes, he is stating facts because he's saying that there is a fundamental lack of skilled labor in a futuristic market. He says if we're having a meeting of tooling engineers in America, we could barely fill a room. We could fill multiple football fields. For an American audience, the smallest football stadium in America is Soldier Field in Illinois, Chicago, 64,000 seats. Multiple 64,000. I don't know. Let's keep it at about two or three. You're talking about 150,000 tooling engineers, just one domain. Now, China is a country of 1.4 billion people. You could make an argument that they have the population, so they're going to have so many engineers coming out. But that's not necessarily true. America is a country of 350 million people. And what Tim Cook is saying, out of those 350 million people, we cannot fill an office room of about 10 tooling engineers. That's what he's saying. But who is to blame for this? This is what he has said. But Tim Cook is an American with an American company. Looking at the Chinese sector, why is he not coming home and sitting with Alan Gaber and saying, Harvard University, I need you to focus because I need 250, 300 tooling engineers coming from Harvard every year. I need you to be able to give me that. I don't want to go to China to find tooling engineers. I want to find them locally, coming from MIT, coming from Harvard, coming from UPenn, coming from all the prestigious and all the universities across the country. I want to be able to use up all the 10,000 because he says they have multiple football fields. Let's say we produce 10,000 tooling engineers. So Tim Cook's, Tim Cook, the likes of Elon Musk, and all these kinds of CEOs have gone to the universities and told them because they have to tell them this is what we need. You have to be able to tailor your program to ensure we have the people coming out to fill these jobs. I'm one of the people that don't support H-1B visas for this because it's an insult to the American population saying that we are not going to teach the American children to have the skill sets to fill the jobs. We're going to run to China, we're going to run to India and get those guys. India is investing in its people. India is ensuring that the children of India have the skill sets to fill the jobs in America. Doesn't that say a whole lot about the government in America not prioritizing that the American children have the skill sets to fill the jobs in America? One of the major exports that America should be exporting before military equipment should be skills. The way we are doing with the H-1B visa, America should be able to have a situation where countries are coming and asking to hire American children and take them to Japan, take them to India, take them to Thailand for their knowledge, their expertise, their skill sets. But what does America export to those countries? English language teachers. Americans are teaching English language in Vietnam. Americans are teaching English language in Thailand. Americans are teaching English language in China. And they're competing with people from Ghana, with people from Nigeria, with people from Cameroon, people for whom English is actually a second language. This is the export other than military that America does in terms of workforce. That's a shame. That tells you about a country that has refused to invest in its children. And you have to blame the Republicans and you have to blame the Democrats. You have to blame the likes of Tim Cook. You have to blame the likes of Elon Musk. You have to blame especially Harvard University. And when you look at this thing that Harvard posted here, I'll bring it back up. Harvard needs to have a rethink. Because in a market as competitive as the global market, we cannot have one of the most prestigious universities in America telling the government, if it's a good faith government, that nobody is going to determine what that university is going to teach when the market sector of that country is rushing out of the country and exporting jobs to foreign countries, or the jobs that the companies that stay back are importing labor force from foreign countries. So American children coming out of Harvard, if they're not protesting in the streets with their social science degrees, their gender study degrees, their humanity degrees, they have no jobs. So they're protesting. And they went to Harvard. So predominantly they're from wealthy families. They're already set. What about the kids in the middle that are just looking for an opportunity to work? Harvard does not think about them. How many tooling engineers did Harvard graduate in the last year? Did they graduate 500 tooling engineers so that I could tell Tim Cook that, look, Timmy, Harvard just gave you 500 tooling engineers. Please bring the company back because we now have tooling engineers. And Tim Cook said China is no longer low wage. What he's saying is there's no justification. Pay is almost even across the board. All the problem we have right now is the lack of skill set in America. So we need vocational institutions. We need big universities prioritizing because the Chinese government did exactly that. America needs to copy from what the Chinese are doing, investing in your own people. We have seen the CEO of one of the richest companies in America talking about the reasons why they're not giving jobs to Americans. They cannot find the skills. But I don't know if they have set a meeting between institutions and the market, where the market is telling the institutions what they need. And the institutions are supposed to listen and provide what they need because they are all working for the same purpose to make America better and great. Harvard cannot have its own policy to teach whatever it wants to teach, irrespective of what the market in America is demanding. That's a suicide mission. Harvard cannot stand its ground, and liberals are cheering. Harvard stood its ground against a president they don't like. When Harvard offers nothing into the workforce, because if Harvard did, we're not going to see Tim Cook going to China to hire hundreds of thousands of tooling engineers. Tim Cook would have been hiring the kids coming out of Princeton, out of Harvard University, out of MIT, out of UPenn, the University of Chicago. But he's not hiring any of these children. So when I look at this statement that Harvard University president wrote, I'm going to give Harvard an F. Harvard is failing Americans. Harvard has dropped the ball on the American children and the promise to ensure that Americans can go through Harvard to get the skills to ensure that the development, the recycling, and the building of America continues. Next up, the CEO of Apple, Tim Cook. I'm going to give him an F plus. I don't know if it's an F plus or F minus, but more of an F if there's a grade like that. Because this is the person who knows what he needs. Instead of coming home, think about it like a married man. Your wife cannot have a child. And there are options, surrogacy, you sneak out, you go to another woman outside, and you make a baby with that woman. And you're sponsoring that child, sending that child to school, and you don't tell your wife that this is what you have done. This is exactly what Tim Cook has done. Instead of ensuring that he fixes his home, builds his home, and this is a voice. This is a man that who speaks, America is going to listen. How come he has not identified the problems in China and he has not seen the solutions that work for China and then brought it back home? Come back home and say, this is what the Chinese are doing. This is the structure that we need to do to stay competitive. But you see, most American CEOs are a vulture capitalist. They don't think about Americans. They think about the bottom line. They have to make their money. And they need to understand where they're going to make their money. If their money is going to come at the expense of Americans, their money is going to come at the expense of Americans. It's as simple as that. So, Tim Cook, you get the Village Boys F of the day. You have failed the American people and you have failed the American workforce. If you have not liked the page so far, please keep on liking. We're beginning to get some kind of traction. We appreciate all of you liking and commenting and subscribing. Our numbers are growing. We appreciate that. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for staying true. The conversation is never going to favor one side or the other. It's really going to be hard to find that because both of them are trying their best to screw the American people. The conversation is always going to stay in the middle of the line. So if this is the channel, if you're like a middle of the line kind of person, if you're an American first kind of person, but you could learn from every other person to build America, this is the channel for you. If you are that middle of the line kind of person and you want to see a prosperous America where we develop American children, we develop our communities, we work with one another to see that America is again the shining star on the hill. If that's you, this is your channel, this is your page, and you need to subscribe. Thank you.